Okay, so very warm welcome to you here to this webinar with the title How to Get It, what was it? How to Get It Your Way. I think that was what we called it, wasn't it? Let me just double check. How to Get It Your Way through NVC. And I've actually been looking forward to this webinar, and I'm also a bit expectant and hoping to be surprised about what comes out, even though I'm the facilitator, because I don't actually know where this is going to end. I just know one thing, that is that I am almost allergic to NVC being referenced almost as if it was a religion. And I hope that I will be able to stimulate a conversation between us here tonight, and hopefully also entertain you a little bit. So let's see where we go. This call tonight is a part of a series that is meant to point some light at an event that happens in Slovenia in November, from the 11th to 18th of November. SAYIT, it is, where Dimitri, whose name you see on your screen if you are here, is the organizer and initiator. I would call him the source of it. I love the concept, the source, of the one who holds the Olympic torch. That is Dimitri. And I'm one of the trainers, and so is Peter, who is here on the call with us as well today. And so this is what happens in November, and we will spend the last few minutes of this call to speak a little bit more about it, and perhaps show you a bit from the website. I will already now write the web address. It's very simple: sayit.si, SI for Slovenia. I've never been in Slovenia. It should be stunningly beautiful. I'm so looking forward. Yeah, and so here we are. How to get it your way. And I'd like to ask you some questions, and you can either unmute yourselves and answer, or you can write in the chat. And if you write in the chat, I'll read it aloud, both for us here on the call and also for those who might listen to the recording afterwards, so that your golden comments don't get wasted. So first of all, what intrigued you about the title so that you signed up for this webinar? What was it that you found intriguing? I'm assuming you found something intriguing since you signed up on such a Thursday evening, where you could just as well have watch football or walk your dog or something. So I'd be pleased to hear from a few of you, or read your chat responses. And I'll give you a moment to reflect. I see some typing going on, and I'm very curious. Sophia writes, okay, I'll just write it as it's written here. You're down to earth, real critical vibe, and the sense I have that you actually get NVC. Whoa, thank you, Sophia. Whoa, I'm flattered. And Nadej writes, everything that's related to discussion at work and with a supervisor interests me. Thank you. Also, I'm enjoying Say It later. Yay, Sophia, we'll get to be together. And Anya writes, it sounded like bold honesty. I'm already a little bit relieved. I mean, what if the NVC police had been present here? That would have been really tough, wouldn't it? So they didn't. I'm very happy that you are inspired by this topic Ola writes, I remember it was something around the question I have of NVC as a process versus consciousness versus tool, maybe. I have to say I did not fully get the essence of it. Yes, this is so interesting that NVC is like an elephant that is being described by blinded people, that we each have our interpretation of it. One would say it's solid as a tree trunk. Another one would say, yes, and it's something that's flexible and now it lifts me up in the air. And the third one would say, yeah, and there is this, and it's got long hairs that it's wiping me with in some way. They're all talking about the same elephant, but they are hugging different ends, different limbs of it. And Nadej writes, and I'm really interested to be able to apply more of NVC principles at work and my boss. Yes, there we go. There we go. Fantastic. Thank you. Yes, so I also had a hope that there would be some people here on the call who would be a little disillusioned by NVC and hoping that I could hand over the magical key so that that promise that NVC holds, that could be realized in some way. And let's see if I'm in any way able to do that. And I'd like to see a show of hands on the screen, just not the electronic hand, but just by raising your hand. Have you experienced in NVC, nonviolent communication, already? If so, then please raise your hand. And experience, I mean, do you know what OFNR is, for instance? Okay, most of you. Thank you. Okay. OFNR, by the way, that is observations, feelings, needs, and requests. OFNR. Let me say a little bit about this, how we experience NVC differently. Because for some people, it is certainly a strategy for most likely easier connection. There is also for some where it could be a tool for, it could be getting it your way. For some, it is a consciousness. Now I know better what's going on in other people, and I bear this consciousness along with me in order to keep understanding and creating less conflicts. And from my point of view, they are all valid. It's not that it's more noble to engage in NVC because we are attracted by the consciousness that it holds and that we can apply. I mean, it's like judging, or how to say, it's just like the alphabet, right? We can write a lot of different things, poetry or hateful speeches, lots of different things, but the alphabet itself is untouched by, I mean, it doesn't help if we curse the alphabet. So NVC is that alphabet. It provides us a suggestion for an understanding of how the human soul operates, and especially how it operates in relationship with others. And it can be used for manipulative purposes, and it can be used for deep self-introspection and connection between people, and it can be used to a lot of things in between. Yes. So here we are with this webinar, and with perhaps the hope that something could become a bit easier. And I would like to ask, what has been your experience so far of NVC when it comes to getting it your way, or to put it in an NVC tolerable language, to get your needs met? What has been your experience? I'd love to see some experiences in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and speak if you'd rather like that. What has been your experience so far? Peter.
Yes, for me, over practicing NVC for a number of years, it's been changing from focus on getting my needs met to knowing what my needs are and then maybe get them met. So for me, it's been somehow getting more realistic, I would say, but maybe also giving up on trying to get my needs met. Harder, maybe, or asking more boldly requests. So that's what I'm wondering about at the moment.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. So something is moving as you integrate NVC, and you named requests. There's something about requests that's very key to our topic tonight. So I'll come back to it. Thank you. And Sophia writes, sometimes it's felt magical how I could get someone to do something for me which they otherwise wouldn't have done. Not always, of course. Wonderful. Yay, success. Thank you, Sophia. Anybody else?
I noticed it's totally in my responsibility to have my needs met. And I'm not comfortable with putting this responsibility upon others. So I'm not happy if my needs are met, but my dear ones' needs are not met. So
yeah, wonderful. Thank you. So you're speaking exactly to this, that Marshall in his stand-up comedian style often said that you can get other people to do what you want them to do, and you can be sure that they will make you regret that you did so. Which I guess speaks exactly to what you're speaking about.
I actually felt intrigued by the title because I'm sometimes afraid to get it my way. In my mind, it's like I'm pushing the others towards my way, and I'm not.
Yeah. Even if you hold your requests with that light hand that I heard you speaking about before. Yeah. So this is interesting. And this actually takes us into a topic that is very dear to my heart. And this is that, yes, NVC provides us with a very simple map of the terrain. We've got the observations, we've got the feelings that leads us to understand the needs, and with our feeling into our needs, we're able to propose some relevant strategies. And if we receive a no, we'll propose another strategy to somebody else. And that we are advised or encouraged to only do things that we can do when we are asked to do something, if we can do it with the same joy as a child feeding a hungry duck. It was even said that Marshall was considering whether NVC should have a duck instead of a giraffe as its mascot animal. Duck, because he was just thinking about calling it duck language because of this exact analogy. Yeah, that would be duck language. Who would ever take us seriously? I mean, it's hard enough with giraffe. Should we walk around with a duck on our head? That would be very strange. A Donald duck, or what kind of a duck? I don't know. Yeah, so there's something about this getting it our way that it doesn't taste so well. And I'm hearing your conscience speaking here, Stefana. Not even as Marshall put it, and you will regret it, but actually that you don't like your dear people to accommodate you if it in any way has a cost on their fulfilling their needs. Yeah. And I'd say that sometimes the map of NVC with these 4 steps and receiving the other through the same 4 steps sometimes it's like it forgets that it takes more courage than a person can manifest to actually use it, to actually ask for what it is we want, to even believe that their needs matter, that they are in any way worth having their needs met. That it might be like, even if somebody else meets their needs with the same joy as a child feeding a hungry dog, that it would still be terrible in some way, because there would be an almost universal balance that would be disturbed if they got it their way. I have had conversations with people today about this topic. And this, of course, has to do with whatever we experienced, especially early in our lives, and what we've had of traumatic experiences throughout our life that may leave us with a belief that if I don't keep myself very, very small, my life will be in danger. And this keeping myself small and my life in danger could have different versions and different colors. But this is actually quite common. How could we then go to an NVC workshop if we have an inner dynamic that goes like that? If I speak my truth, my life will be in danger. How could we then go to an NVC workshop and learn about, well, you just gotta find the clear observation, and then you notice what's moving in you, what your feelings are. Find them on this list if you don't know. And the feelings would direct you to your needs, because every feeling is a message about a need being met or unmet. So look at this list of needs and you'll find your need. And then it's time for you to figure out who could do what for you that would meet this need for you, and then ask them. And make sure that they only say yes if they can do it with the same joy as a child feeding a hungry dog. It's just not that way. It's not that way it operates for many of us. Do you agree? Just check, yeah, nodding, thank you. But there is something to overcome. I'm sometimes saying when I'm teaching that the work we are doing here is not for us, it's for the coming generations. It's like planting a chestnut tree or a walnut tree. It's not for us, it's for the next to come. We can still do all our work, it's necessary, otherwise they won't be able to harvest the next people who come. But it's the same with NVC. We're doing a lot to stop that lavine, what's that in English? That when the snow just rushes down the hill, so that it doesn't grow bigger. That's what we do, that it actually grows a bit smaller. And the coming generations, they will hopefully grow up in a family and in a community where they're proud of themselves and they trust they belong, and they feel entitled not to get it their way, but they feel entitled to ask for what they need, and they are not totally out of balance if they get a no. They'll just realize that, oh yeah, this person may have something else that's important for them. I'll go and ask somebody else, or I'll ask them again tomorrow. I mean, how wonderful that would be. If 1-2 generations down the road, that would be the legacy that our children and grandchildren have integrated in their bodies, maybe because of the work we do, the way we speak to them, that we clear our own blockages for that kind of trust trust in ourselves, trust in each other, and trust that it's possible to actually to actually be a person in this world that matters. Yeah. So let's do a new check-in here with you. So if you could request something of somebody, you don't need to have a clear picture of whom you would request exactly what, but what is it you would love to be, what is it that you'd love to be different in your life from what it is now? And in this case, I'm speaking about your personal life, even though we could also talk about the bigger scene. We could talk about the personal as well as the bigger. I think I can say with conviction that I would love if everybody cared for our climate and for the extinction crisis we're in the middle of, and took the needs of all people in this world and all living beings on the world, in this world, seriously. And my request would be with a megaphone, shouting to people, wake up, know your responsibility, change something. And I'd love to see what you would love. I guess you would probably love the same, but perhaps you also have some individual hidden magical dreams of what you would love if you knew you could ask without feeling ashamed of yourself or afraid of consequences. I see some reflection. Yeah, Peter, please speak.
Yes. Well, I feel a little bit embarrassed because compared to the climate crisis, it's a very little thing.
Well, the climate crisis is covered, so everything else will be smaller.
Okay. No, I had an interaction with someone I met at an event at my workplace, and he said to me, "You're such a kind man." And it really triggers me because I don't want to be kind. And he even said, if there was a prize for the kindest person in this village, I would nominate you. And I got furious, and I wish I had the clarity and the courage to ask him, what is kindness for you, or what do you mean? Because I was so full of protest that I was also losing my self-connection. So that's the situation that is most alive for me this moment.
Yeah, thank you. And may I ask you, what is it about being nominated to be the kindest person that upsets you?
What I'm hearing in that label, kind, is that it's not authentic and it's not sharp. It's not honest. You're covering yourself in kindness. I really would like to be seen also for my honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind and nice. They're sort of similar in this case.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm almost hearing like, you're so kind that we fall asleep or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's also about aliveness,
Yeah.
like authentic aliveness, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Something about being known in
Yes,
in
yes,
in all of you, not just being seen for this kind attitude.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
being
That I
known.
have many aspects like anyone else.
Yes. Ah, how refreshing to hear this.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm wondering what keeps you. Is it okay I ask you another question here?
Yes.
And please just wipe it off if you don't enjoy it. So what is it that makes you stay kind?
Mm. Well, I don't know if I stayed kind. You mean in that interaction?
No, no more that this person sees you as kind. He must have noticed you a few times and
Ah, yeah. I think that he was referring to a situation where I felt uncertain
ah,
and maybe went into my automatic way of expressing myself,
hmm,
which is maybe I feel safe when I'm kind to people, and I don't feel so safe when I'm uncertain and maybe more
yeah.
raw, honest, or something like that.
So, big point here. It's something about safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, something about safety. Thank you. Hmm. And I'm wondering if that wouldn't be a common denominator for much of what we're talking about when we are holding ourselves back from requesting boldly what it is we really want. Rather, whether it's trauma, it has its roots in trauma or inconvenience, but that it's something about safety. I would actually like to show you a drawing of Sven Hardenstein. No, there's something I'd like to say first. I used to think that if everybody in the whole world just learned NVC, everything would be wonderful. And then I realized that during those about 20 years where I've been involved with NVC, needs and needs awareness is actually something that has been it's flourishing. So I'm hearing political parties talking about needs. They're talking about people feeling unsafe in their neighborhoods, and they would really like to propose these different new laws in order for people to feel safe. And then they just want to bang immigrants out of everything. So I mean, so they, for me, this is totally manipulative to put an equal mark between the need for safety and their policy. But this is nevertheless what is happening. And I'm seeing lots of ads that's doing the same. It's not like now they're speaking about a car and it has this many horsepowers, but this car is giving you freedom, right? This is a strategy to freedom. I don't know if it's the one and only, but it's a very strong one, and we will bombard you with this. As well as could also be that I'm not saying this counts for all religious communities, but for some religious communities, there's this promise of inner peace, which is probably true. And is it always true? I mean, it's almost like it's not directed towards one person in particular, but this is just a broad promise that here's true, the truth, inner peace. This is how it is. And NVC as well. This is your way to connection. This is your way to more sustainable relationships. And that makes me think about Sven Hardenstein, who has, I don't know if you know, these cartoons that this guy has been making. I'd actually just take that share off and share with my PowerPoint instead, because here it is. I was copying some of them. So he's really nailing it, I find. So he says the easy way of learning NVC rather than doing all that soul searching work. all that book reading, workshops, empathy and awareness stuff. A few word replacements when talking will suffice. And the NVC police would be happy with this. Instead of saying to talk, then to connect. Instead of talking about good, which is a bad word to use, we don't use good, you talk about life-serving. Instead of talking about what's bad, that's another judgment, we don't like that, but you could always name it jackal. And instead of saying I want, you could say my preferred strategy is. And instead of saying no, you could say I hear it as a demand. Instead of saying it's your fault, you could say I need empathy. Instead of saying shut up, you could say listen with giraffe ears and shut up. And instead of saying fuck off, you can say get yourself some empathy. So I don't know how you feel about this. Let me stop the sharing and come back to you here. Did you recognize anything here that sort of sheds light on your NVC experience? I saw a bit of nodding. Ola, you smiled.
Yeah, I think I've seen this before, but it was funny again.
Yeah.
and I'm just trying to make sense of all that you've said, Pernille, and are you aiming, or what I'm taking from this is that we can have needs consciousness can lead then to a variety of strategies, and we can have more life-serving strategies and less life-serving strategies. And then NVC itself can be just used as a strategy if you replace a couple of words.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess what I'm curious about, and what I'm sort of I see us in this conversation, which I'm mainly leading here, as sort of spiraling in coming to a point that is both a point of pain and a point of sweetness at the same time, which is that yes, NVC can be used and is being used in many different ways. NVC itself is not the savior. And NVC itself is not the answer to everything, because we can be traumatized and we can be afraid, and there can be many ways. So coming to what is it we really want from NVC? And if what we really want is to get it our way, we've already talked about the costs, or at least, we did talk about the cost, that this could be at the cost of somebody else not being happy with what happened. So what is it then that we actually want? If we don't want to get it our way because then somebody else doesn't get it our way, doesn't get it their way, what is it then we really want behind the obvious, what we want? A better job, a safe world, all that. What is it we really want? And this is a question I would like you to reflect about for a moment. What is it we really want that everything else is a strategy for? I don't have the answer. I can say some of the things that come up for me when I ask the question. And this is something about, it's something about my inner life to be, I'm tempted to call it, I want my brain to be a kind place to live in. I want to have, to carry peace with me where I walk. Not that kind of Dalai Lama-ish peace, but just like feeling good within. And what I really want is also to be in a constant dialogue with my world, with the world around me. And this is very different from getting it my way. This is inviting others into a dance. What do you think about that? Is that in any way matching what you really want? Oh gosh, I'm asking you to, oh, thank you, Anya, for responding here. Oh, by the way, Sophia wrote before, I feel vindicated. I don't understand that word, but it was in response to Sven Hardenstein's, the sentences. Anya writes, feel meaning and contribute and be loved. Yes. Oh gosh, that speaks so deeply. And Peter would like clarity. Thank you. Yes. And so, I mean, it's almost like we're taking a step back from our everyday grass level, many decisions. And I would like a calendar with more hours every day. I would like not to have to clean my house. I would like my dog not to lose all his fur right before I have guests, all that kind of things that we might have. But going for meaning and contribute and be loved, it can hardly be more profound, right? And clarity to know what's going on. And in that respect, if the boss is an asshole and we want to get it our way, it's almost as it is playing out in a different dimension. And I'm wondering if this other dimension anyway is a kind of a playground or a laboratory. And I believe the key word is requests, as long as we come from the NVC consciousness. Requests not as how we read them in the book. I'm wondering if you would be willing to, but only if you can do it with the same joy as a child feeding a hungry dog. But requests that are really nailing this deep longing for meaning and to contribute and to be loved and clarity. And I've got a few tips for you here, because I've found that it's taken me many years to find my requests, and I'm still on my way to do it. But for instance, I remember the first time I said to my then teenage son, and he told me something where he was going that Friday, no, where he had been sleeping that night before. And I said to him, where did you sleep? And you drove your moped? Did you drink? Questions like that a very irritating mom to a 17-year-old can ask. And he said something that would sort of tranquilize that barking dog that he saw me as in that moment. And I said to him, I wish I could trust what you just said. I'm wondering, I would love you to help me trust you. How can I get to trust you? Something like that. And that marked a turning point in our conversation. Not that he just totally admitted where he'd been, but in that moment, we went from having superficial conversations and into having a conversation that was more meaningful and more expressing at least my care for him and not just a barking dog mother. And so that that level of requests, I wish I could trust what you're saying, or I wish I could say yes to what you're asking me of. And it's not because I have something else I'd rather do that would meet some needs for me. I'm just noticing a hesitation within. And will you help me find out what that hesitation is about? That's another request that takes us to that level of connection with one another. And let's transfer this way of speaking into the situation with the boss that I wrote in the write-up for this webinar today. So we have a very irritating boss that always gets it her way or his way. What would be a request we could ask this boss that would take us to a deeper level without us taking huge risks of losing the job or losing our dignity or losing face or something? How could we express our authenticity in a request? And I'm very open for a brainstorm here, and I would come up with the first line, which would be something like, I sometimes get concerned when you conclude that this is how things are going to be, in spite of what I told you before. And the fact that you always have good reasons that seem to, most of the time, go against what I would really want, it makes me really concerned. And I'm wondering if you any time would be willing for us to have a conversation about this fact. Something like that. I'm not sure. This was very successful. Yeah, you're smiling, Ola. Thank you. I like looking at your smile. Or may I try something with your example, Peter? Yeah. So you said you wish you had asked this guy what he meant by kind. That you should have the prize for being the kindest person in the whole village. And you didn't feel this as a compliment. On the contrary, you actually got angry. Yeah. So how fun it would be to come up with a request that would actually show some of your not quite as kind aspects that would be relevant in that conversation. Could you think about what that would be?
Well, it's kind of difficult because it's so much alive with me, and my own reaction to it that was so strong and angry that I lost my clarity.
Yeah.
So at this moment, I find it difficult to also express a constructive request.
Yeah.
I'm still angry with him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure for good reasons. Let's see if somebody else has a sharp and relevant response to this in the format of a request. Not really. Ola.
I can try something.
Please.
So, what about something like, yeah, thank you for saying that, but hearing that from you actually makes me quite angry. Because I would really love to be seen also from the side of me that's not kind, and to be able to express that side as well. And then, it could be a connection request asking, how is that for you to hear?
Yeah.
Or it could be an action request saying something like, so could you imagine like one thing I've done in the past days that wasn't kind? I would really love to hear that.
Yeah. What do you think, Peter?
Yes, yes, both could work, and I'm also sitting with this, like I would like to drill a little bit in his understanding of kindness. Like what does he mean? I would like to get some clarity about what does he actually mean? Is it meant as something like so spontaneously positive, or what, and what is he referring to also? Like it's a very general thing to say.
Yeah, so here was a judgment that landed in you just with a lot of confusion, for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm also hearing something else, which is that I'm not sure this counts for you, but it could count for you, as it has counted for me and for many of us, I'm sure, that we tend, as we learn NVC, to meet the world with empathy, and we wait till it gets our turn to express ourselves. And it's true that we have been taught that, well, empathy before education, and if it's hard for the other person to hear, then empathy until they feel fully heard, and then the window is closed and we never get to express ourselves. So I'm actually advocating for boldness and for taking a risk if we can, to actually say, okay, and well, actually, Ola's suggestion for you was that you came out with what's important for you, right? But that we do that from the spirit of wanting to connect with the other and see what happens. Knowing very well that it could be that our traumatized background prohibits us from doing it. So we need to find the playground that feels safe. Which could be through rapping, like, you know what? Thank you for saying that I'm kind, that you find me so kind that I would win the prize in the village. But you know what? I am actually practicing at the moment to be sharp, not to say edgy. And will you be my guinea pig? And I'd like to try something on you. So there's an agreement. And then saying, yes, you know what? And then, of course, it needed to be something that was relevant for you. But I hated when people call me kind, or I don't know what. Perhaps that wouldn't be so nice. I mean, nice, certainly not, but it wouldn't be fitting the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I can connect with that, like the boldness in also going with expressing myself.
Yeah.
What is behind my reaction? Because I also, as I listened to both you, Ola, and you, Pernille, I noticed that my eagerness to drill in him was not coming from empathy, but from like a wish to punish him, like to reveal how stupid it was what he was saying. So. And I don't like so much to go with that actually, because I feel I stretch out of myself again to punish. And I would much rather, yeah, go with that to express myself honestly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
And imagine we lived in a world that was so safe that an encounter like this would be like a tango. And in a tango, one person leads, and then something happens, and then it's the other person that leads. So this is a dominance game, right? Imagine communication, even with a stranger in the street, could be like that we could come from this conviction that we are connected no matter what. We are cells in the same tissue, and right now we are dancing. We're sort of trying to find the edges between you and me and what's possible. So, okay, boss, that might be something you find as a very good idea. I'm wondering how you would like me to, how would you love me to receive what it is you're coming with? Because I don't think you really know how it lands with me. Something that just has a bit more edge. I would love that. I love that. I too, I'm tired of niceness, of people pleasing. And here's Daya's suggestion to you. Another try for Peter. I'm concerned that you do not see me authentic, only as a people pleaser. Is it like that?
Ah, yeah.
That would speak to your need for clarity, right? Okay, let's switch back to Sven Hartenstein. I got him here. I got 2 other slides here. Hello, speak to me. Here it is. So the giraffe says, when you self-empathize, your needs will become less pressing. I'm hungry. Try harder. I hate to cook. So this is when we use NVC, totally manipulative. And I just find that I've seen it. And I love these drawings that nail it so beautifully. And this one is perhaps the sweetest one. Moments in which empathically guessing feelings and needs might not be a good idea. Do you want to marry me? Could be very informative though, don't you think so? Yeah, I find them refreshingly amusing. Both these 2 and the other one with replacing the language. Yeah. Okay, we've been a little bit around. We didn't follow what I planned here. And perhaps we did anyway. Yeah. Gosh, I wish whenever somebody is using the NVC police-ish terms like, hey, you're using power over me right now, or I don't enjoy, what is it? You have been doing this more often than I enjoy. I wish that next time I hear something like that I would be able to switch into boldness and to just like face them directly with a counter request and say something like, because it is a judgment, right? In our jargon, where we know how we speak, you're using power over, that's a judgment. It's just newspeak, NVC speak. And I'd like to be able to ask, to say something like, yes, it's true. And that's what you're doing with me right now as well. Or I don't know what, but it's itching in me for getting aliveness in when we are met with NVC cliches. You're doing that more often than I enjoy. Yeah. And what you just said now, you said that more often than I enjoy. I don't, and that's a problem, right? The lack of creativity just on the spot in the moment. And I hope conversations like this brings us to more aliveness, more tango in our relationships and in our language, rather than trying to be correct and perfect. And anyway, it will always be the more experienced, the elder people in the environment who gets it their way, because they are better at manipulating through the words. So let this be a statement of not using NVC to get it our way, but rather using NVC to get us our way. That would be my final point. And handing it over to Dmitry for the last few minutes for speaking about SAYIT.
Yeah, hi Pernille, thank you. I was just driving home, not being able to be fully present, but I was enjoying the beginning that I was present and the last part. So it's kind of seeing how we can differently approach any kind of situation. And I really enjoyed your invitation to be more bold and to try it out, to just find ways. And from the SAYIT part, I would enjoy if you would maybe still be willing to share a couple of words about you and what is so exciting for you to be part of the SAYIT.
You're asking me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm asking.
So what's exciting for me about SAYIT? It is very fresh for me because the last 4 days and tomorrow, including today and tomorrow, I'm having a physical workshop very close to where I live, and just being in a physical space with people, gosh, I didn't know I was so starving for it after COVID and everything. But this sitting in the same space, being able to read each other's body language, I love it so much. And I'm so looking forward to SAYIT, where we will be in the same room and we will deal with some really meaningful topics where there is choice, of course, but of course I will advocate for you choosing my workshops, which will be around coaching, how to support from an NVC mindset. How can you support someone else in a one-on-one conversation? And I know that both Peter and Anja has studied with me, so you can have a wonderful brush up if you join, or you could choose David's workshop instead, which is about both embodiment. I mean, how do we live NVC through our bodies? He's an Aikido man and many other things. And it's also about cultivating relationships and community from an NVC consciousness rather than from strategies. And then there are all the other afternoon workshops, of which Peter is leading one of them. Oh, 3 of them, I think, right? Yeah. And I'm leading quite a few as well. And there's some, and Dimitri, are you leading them, or are you, I don't, yeah, you're leading a few as well. So we are having, I mean, go into a candy shop or a flower shop, if you prefer flowers to candy, and just pick from all shelves. That's what you can expect in the middle week of November in Slovenia. I'm really looking forward, and I'm so excited that I'll get to meet Sophia, and it would be wonderful to meet some more. Yeah, and Peter and Dimitri. Gosh, yeah, I'm looking forward.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So there's a few people here who is already decided to join, so I don't need to convince them.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm looking forward to see them. Yeah, and I just wanted to point out for the others that we still have spaces available. That we changed the location because we first thinking about the group about 80 people. So now we are scaling down, so changing the location, but it's still going to be in the nature. It's going to be beautiful outside. And I'm sure that the food will be also amazing. So it's kind of all the other things besides workshops will be also quite supportive for that one. And also in the financial parts, we are still open to talk about it. So if you have a question, just reach out, and I'm hopeful about finding the solution working for all the people. And yeah, as we say, I'm still kind of, my favorite is the structure. So in the mornings there will be intensives. One will be led by Pernille, the other will be led by David. So it's kind of, you can choose the mornings with one trainer for the whole week. And for the other trainings, there will be 3 workshops in the afternoon, and in the evenings you can still select a lot of content. And I'm also offering something, and I'm also kind of really excited to be part of something. So it's also kind of a great learning opportunity. And yeah, I mean, if you're thinking, if you're considering of joining, just reach out, and I hope we will practice this dialogue you just mentioned, like reaching out with the kind of getting it your way, my way, and find this somehow NVC way to be able to invite you and to be part of it. So that's my part. So thank you, Pernille, for your willingness to offer this for me really interesting topic. And
yeah, it was a fun exploration. I'm very happy that you were happy to play with me, to dance with me in this tango. Thank you. And thank you, Dimitri. We will meet soon.
Thank you, Pernille, and thank you all for being part of it. And you can still watch the recording after we publish it. And for all of those being registered and not being able to come, they will still be able to see.
So please unmute yourselves and say goodbye. Thank you, Anja.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Yeah.